Steve, it's a quick turnaround back in international duty. First of all, how are you and how have the last few weeks been?
No, it's been good. It was nice to be back involved in football again at the start of the month, and it's even better to be standing here now and looking forward to 3 good games coming up.
Yeah. You name your squad today ahead of a busy schedule like you touch on. Of course, looking back first though, what do you assess on the previous games at the start of the month?
Yeah, I think both games were obviously a little bit disrupted with the close season. The virus affected a lot of teams. The English boys were just starting back. The Scottish boys were just new into the season. We touched on a different way of playing, a different system, which worked to a certain extent. There's obviously things we have to improve on it. But it gives us more options going forward, and it means that we can utilise more players in the squad. So reasonably pleased we come out with 4 points for two games, which is good, and gives us a great platform in the group.
Yeah, sit top of the group, of course, and we are unbeaten in 5 games going into what we all know is such a big game against Israel. But how important is that momentum for you and the players to take into such a big game?
No, I think it's very important. Everybody spoke about when we lost to Russia, and that was the end of the chances to qualify through the group. It then became a matter of making sure that we approached the playoff game in a really positive frame of mind. So 5 games unbeaten, I think, is a good way to do that. 4 of them wins, scored plenty of goals, showing that we can be creative going forward. And like I said, we're all just looking forward to the game now. The players are comfortable with the 2 systems that we've given them to work on, and hopefully you see the fruits of all that work this month.
And it is 3 games in very quick succession. As a result, you've named a bigger squad, 26-man squad this time around. I'm assuming that's the thinking behind that, to accommodate those runs of fixtures.
Yeah, I think when you have so many games, so many big games in such a short space of time, it's important to have people in the squad. Obviously, with the COVID virus is going around now, it's a little bit more difficult to call people in and out your protected bubble, if you like. So we decided to go with a slightly bigger squad, and hopefully everybody turns up fitting well.
Yeah, a lot of familiar faces, of course, but no James Forrest through injury, which I'm sure is a blow for him personally. Did you speak to James? I
haven't had the chance to speak to him. I only got the news late last night that he wasn't going to make the squad, which is, like you say, it's disappointing for James. We wish him a speedy recovery. Disappointing that we don't have him, because his recent record against Israel, and thinking back to the hat-trick he scored here in the 3-2 game, is good. So he's a miss, but listen, every injury is an opportunity for someone else.
Are there a few players in the squad that you still need to assess, Steve? For example, Ryan Jack, I know, who's had a bit of an injury. Do you still need to have a look at him?
No, I think the situation with Ryan is that he's picked up an injury. He's missed a few weeks with Rangers. He's working back towards training. He's back out on the training ground, not fully with the team, but with the physios. So we can select him and then see how the situation develops over the next 7 days.
Yeah. Looking at the top end of the pitch, I know you were pleased with Lyndon Dykes' contribution in his first call-up, but you've got the likes of Oli McBurney and Lawrence Shankland back in there. That's a welcome boost in that area of the pitch, isn't it?
No, I think the more options you have up front, the better. Oli McBurney's got himself fit, back playing again. Lawrence has scored 2 goals in 2 games since he got back into the Dundee United team. Ollie Burke has got a good move to Sheffield United, and has actually started the last 2 games and done well. So with Lyndon having come into the squad last month and done well, it gives us really good options.
And looking at the younger players as well, Robbie McCrory, Ryan Porteous stepping up from the under-21s, encouraging for you as manager to see that in the younger age groups, those options?
I think it's always good that the young players can step up. It's always good that you show there's a pathway for the younger players to come into your squad. Robbie McCrory was with us last month. He trained very well in the group and deserves another chance to come. He might not get much game time, but the experience that he gets working with David Marshall and John McLaughlin will certainly stand him in good stead going forward. Ryan Porteous is a slightly different kettle of fish in that he's suspended for the first under-21 game, but it's a competition-specific suspension, which means that we can have him with us, and he can show us what he can do in training. I had Ryan up one of the previous camps in November, and he trained well, he worked well with the group. He's had a good start to the season with Hibs, and I look forward to seeing him again in training.
Yeah, we touched on the magnitude of the Israel game, and I know that'll be the one you're focusing on with it coming up first. Just how are you feeling ahead of that, Steve, both personally and as you look to join up with the group soon?
No, I think the focus has to be on Israel because it's the first game of the 3, so we'll be ready for it. Obviously, slightly different preparation in that thankfully Celtic and Rangers have both made the next stage of the Europa League, so they've got big qualifying games on the Thursday, which means that their matches go back to the Sunday. And I think looking at the squad, out of the 26 that I've named, 13 are involved in Sunday matches. So slightly different preparation, but come Thursday night, everyone will be ready to go.
Yeah, and as you do all join up together again, can you use the magnitude and the scale of this game to channel that positively and build that anticipation together as a group as you go into it?
I honestly don't think I'll need to do that, because the players are aware of the magnitude of the game. The players are aware of the opportunity that they have to write a little bit of history for their country, and you can't have a bigger challenge than that, so we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, and just on a final note, I know you've spoke about this at length before, but obviously with the situation we find ourselves in, the supporters not going to be here to roar the team on against Israel. It is a knock, but something that we have to adjust to, isn't it?
No, I think obviously it would be great if we could have the 50,000 here that bought the tickets and wanted to be here to cheer us on. I'm sure they'll find some way to cheer us on. Hopefully they do it in a safe and sensible manner. We give them something to cheer about, and it's just something that we have to deal with at this moment in time. Hopefully in the coming months we'll be able to get more people in to watch football, and that's what football is. It's a spectator sport. We all miss it, but I don't think it will take away from the intensity or the magnitude of the game coming up.